Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Good Morning Britain fans slam disrespectful Richard Madeley minutes into. Good Morning Britain presenter Richard Madeley has been slammed by ITV viewers after being rude to his co-star Madeley during a discussion on the ITV breakfast show. Richard Madeley has come under fire for being disrespectful to one of his Good Morning Britain co-stars during a heated debate. Richard fronted the ITV program alongside Kate Garraway on Wednesday, August 13, with the pair joined by newsreader Marverine Cole as well as journalists Andrew Pierce and Ava Santina Evans to discuss new police guidance aiming to curb misinformation spreading online. During the discussion, Marverine was interrupted by Richard as she spoke about stereotypes, leaving GMB viewers fuming and branding the host rude. People of non-white backgrounds are troublemakers, whether they are asylum seekers or not. That was a narrative that never was around when I was younger, Marverine explained. As she attempted to continue, Richard then spoke over her, saying, "But the more you withhold that information, when it is released or when it leaks out, it has much more impact because it is a rarity. If you actually completely lift the lid on this and are open every single time somebody is accused, arrested, or charged, you're open about who they are, where they're from, you reduce the impact of the rare occasions when it leaks or it leaks inaccurately." Marverine remained composed despite the interruption, responding, "I appreciate that, but it goes hand in hand with a rhetoric which is across the country now, which is it's got to be a black person, it's got to be an asylum seeker who has done this hideous thing. And if it is, we're going to kick off as a nation. If it is a white person, then it is okay." Richard was slammed on social media by viewers, with many accusing him of being disrespectful towards Marverine on the ITV program. A third said, "Quite eye-opening the way ignoramus Richard Madeley was talking over Marverine Cole trying to get a point across." The sun had barely climbed over the London skyline when Good Morning Britain hit the airwaves, but viewers who tuned in with their first coffee in hand were already sharpening their social media pitchforks. Richard Madeley, the veteran presenter whose style has often been described as fearlessly direct by his fans and blunt to the point of discomfort by his critics, was just minutes into Tuesday's broadcast when the online backlash began brewing. It was supposed to be a smooth morning. The GMB studio was bathed in the familiar warm glow of studio lights, the desk set up perfectly with mugs that probably contained more water than tea, and the production team was ready to deliver another day's blend of breaking headlines and human interest stories. Co-host Susanna Reid, ever the poised counterpart to Richard's unpredictable flourishes, looked like she was ready for a calm start. But the calm didn't last. As the opening segment wrapped up and the show moved on to its first interview, a sensitive discussion about a recent high-profile tragedy, Richard's choice of words left many viewers clutching their remote controls. The guest, a softly spoken advocate who had been tirelessly campaigning for awareness around the issue, had barely finished their introduction when Richard leaned forward, narrowed his eyes slightly, and asked a question that, to many at home, sounded more like an interrogation than an inquiry. There was no shouting, no raised voice, just that slightly arched eyebrow and a phrasing that came across as dismissive. For Richard, it may have been a matter of getting straight to the heart of the matter. For the audience, it felt like someone had just barged into a church service and asked where the snacks were. Within moments, X, formerly Twitter, was flooded with reactions. It's 6:35 in the morning and Richard Madeley is already being disrespectful. Can we not? I swear ITV keeps him on for the chaos. That was a completely inappropriate tone for the topic. Poor guest, she looked so uncomfortable and he just kept going. The clip began circulating almost immediately, amplified by accounts that specialize in capturing awkward GMB moments. Richard, of course, was unaware of the brewing storm online, at least for the moment. On set, he was smiling, holding his cue cards, and moving briskly to the next point, as if unaware that entire threads of criticism were being written in real time. Susanna, however, seemed to catch the shift in the air. The brief sideways glance she gave Richard, a combination of polite warning and silent sigh, was caught by several sharp-eyed viewers who later described it as the look that says, "Please stop digging." She gently rephrased his question, giving the guest space to respond more comfortably. But the damage was done. A pattern or just a bad moment? This wasn't Richard's first run-in with the GMB audience. Over the years, his on-air style, part Jeremy Paxman, part bemused uncle at a wedding, has earned him as many defenders as detractors. His fans argue that he cuts through the fluff, refusing to sugarcoat difficult conversations. His critics see it as a lack of tact, especially in early morning television, where the blend of hard news and empathy can be a delicate one to maintain. This morning, however, even some longtime viewers seem to take issue. One fan account that usually posts Richard's best bits tweeted that they found his delivery off-putting today. Another admitted they had muted the TV until the segment was over. By the second hour of the show, the production team appeared to have subtly adjusted the pacing. Richard took a back seat during a follow-up interview, with Susanna steering the conversation. Whether this was a planned balance or a gentle nudge from the producer's earpiece, viewers noticed the difference. The guest responds. Later in the morning, the guest from the first segment posted on Instagram, thanking the GMB team for giving them airtime, but also noting that some questions could have been asked with more sensitivity. The post didn't name Richard directly, but given the volume of comments underneath referencing his conduct, the implication was clear. Fans flooded the guest post with supportive messages. "You handled yourself with grace." "Couldn't believe the tone of that interview. You deserved better." "Thank you for speaking out. It's not easy to sit there live on TV and deal with that." ITV declined to comment officially when approached by entertainment journalists that afternoon, sticking to a neutral statement about appreciating robust but respectful discussions on their program. The social media divide. The reaction online was far from unanimous. While many condemned Richard's approach, a vocal minority defended him. He asked a fair question. People are just too sensitive. "We need interviewers who don't tiptoe around the truth. That's why I watch him." This divide is part of what has kept Richard in the headlines over the years. Love him or hate him, people talk about him. And in the world of morning television, where ratings are king, being talked about can be almost as valuable as being liked. Still, the word disrespectful trended alongside his name for several hours, which is hardly the kind of publicity most presenters would aim for before lunch. Richard's reaction. By the time the credits rolled and the studio lights dimmed, the day's storm was in full swing. Reports later suggested that Richard was made aware of the online backlash before leaving the building. He reportedly brushed it off, saying he was simply asking the obvious question and didn't see the fuss. Those who know him say that Richard's style is deeply ingrained. He isn't one to issue lengthy apologies unless he genuinely feels he crossed a line. Whether he views today's reaction as a misunderstanding or a wake-up call remains to be seen. One source close to the GMB team hinted that while ITV values Richard's ability to generate conversation, they are mindful of maintaining the show's tone, particularly during sensitive topics. "There's a fine line between direct and disrespectful," the source said, "and sometimes Richard walks it a little too fast." Will it blow over? By mid-afternoon, other news stories had begun to push the GMB drama down the trending list. But clips from the segment will likely live on in social media's memory, resurfacing whenever Richard's style sparks fresh debate. For now, ITV seems unlikely to take any formal action. The network knows that morning television thrives on moments that get people talking, and Richard has a knack for delivering exactly that, whether viewers like it or not. As for tomorrow morning, the coffee will still be brewing, the lights will still come on, and Richard Madeley will probably still be at that desk, ready with his next question. And the audience, love him or loathe him, will still be watching, just to see what happens next.